Greetings, people of Earth, and welcome to the COVID Chronicles. This is the evening show, March 23rd, 2020. I have a special treat for you tonight. We are going to be talking to Angela, if I could get a hold of her, live from New York. And she's going to tell us kind of what's going on there, the situation. Not looking pretty in New York, I'm afraid. But first, I promised some shout outs. So, hey, shout out to Tammy. Shout out to Lisa. Lisa, #1 fan of the show. Shout out to you. Shout out to, what was his name again? Long Duck Dong. Is that really his name? Long Duck Dong. I have somebody making comments and he calls himself Long Duck Dong. I'm going to call you the Donger, okay, from now on. Shout out to the Donger. So, what are we going to do? I'm going to go into some live updates while we're waiting for Angela to come along. And the first thing I'm going to look at is some key terms. There are some key terms that we have to get used to for the COVID virus, acronyms and terms. And the first one is COVID-19. What does COVID-19 stand for? Hang on. COVID-19 stands for Coronavirus Disease 2019. I've heard a lot of different things on this. I've heard people say it stands for China originated a viral infectious disease 2019, but it's not. It's just Coronavirus Disease 2019. CFR stands for Case Fatality Rate. That is calculating the number of deaths by the number of infections. So let's say you have 1,000 infections and you have 100 deaths from that. Then your CFR would be 0.1, 10%. The third one is the R0. The R0, R0, that is the reproductive rate. That means for each person that gets the disease or the virus, how many other people will they infect? And obviously, the higher that number is, the more contagious it is. The estimate on the common flu or seasonal flu is between 1.2 and 1.3. The estimate for the COVID virus is between 2 and 3. So you can see it's much more infectious than a common flu. By the way, measles, the common infection rate for measles is 12 to 18. So holy shit, man. If you manage to avoid not getting the measles, good for you. I can see Angela is on. Angela, just wait a few minutes. We'll get to you. We're just doing some of our updates. And the final acronym is for social isolation, and I've made this one up myself. This is the STFAFM, and it stands for Stay the Fuck Away From Me. Now, we have these new terms that come out, social isolation, and it sounds pretty good, but it really means just avoid people, right? I don't know why the need for the pleasant wrapping, should we say, but really, I think it just stands for stay the fuck away from me. And that's how I feel when I'm standing next to somebody and they cough, don't cover their mouth. You know, you see that kind of stuff all the time, and you would think people would learn by that or learn by now. And I'm probably going to add one more acronym, and that will be something about washing hands. Like, do we really have to tell people in this day and age to wash their hands? Like, hey, everybody, after you go to the bathroom, wash your hands, please. Before you cook something, wash your hands. You know, you've been digging in the manure. Hey, can you wash your hands? Like, is that really necessary? Holy shit. But apparently it is. Okay, so before we get to the lovely Angela, let's just go through our round of updates here. See where we are at with this nasty virus. What's it doing now? So worldwide, globally, we have 377,717 cases, 16,473 deaths, 101,000 people recovered. That's good news. And this morning when I did this, a lot of the statistics had not come in. Some countries are getting a little bit slow on updating, but I will go through this and I'll glean some of the positives out, okay? So Italy, 6,000 total deaths, only 600 last night. So that is actually a positive sign. I mean, their new deaths were kind of trending at around 20% of total deaths, and now that trend is down to about 10%. So the new deaths are comparatively slowing down. USA, wow, a lot of new cases in the United States. We'll talk to Angela a little bit more about that. But I mean, 25% of the existing cases, almost about 22%, just in one day. Spain, we're looking at about the new deaths are about a little over 20%. That's also high. We go on and on. England, they're trending higher. Canada, we're at 23. It's slightly above 10%. So we'll see, right? Let's take a deeper dive into, actually, let's come back to the UK. So one of the things I've been watching really closely now is the media. I'm trying to see how critical the media is and whether they're covering things that are really of importance or whether they're kind of jumping into things that are a little bit relevant. So I thought I would go on Global and see what their #1 story is. Here it is. Can I have sex while self-isolating? I'm just going to leave that there. Can I have sex while self-isolating? Is that a serious question? Like, yeah, you can have sex, just not with a person, right? Or another living being, I guess. So, I mean, hey, teenage boys, nothing's changing, okay? Things are pretty much the same as always. But it's interesting that's the #1 story for Global. Can I have sex while self-isolating? Well, hey, some of us have been dealing with quarantine-like conditions for a long, long time. So let's jettison that piece of fluff. Let's take a bit of a deeper dive into Canada. We are coming up to 2,100 cases in Canada. British Columbia, 472, 13 deaths. Ontario, 503, 6 deaths. And by the way, shout out to Dave Darnley. Dave was telling me that we're seeing some nasty things in Ontario. We're seeing some people robbing houses. They've seen some scammers dressing up in, I don't know what you would call them, like a hazmat type suit, offering to come by and spray a house or something like that, and then robbing the place. And man, I mean, again, some people, there's a lot of great people out there, but there are some real douchebags. Like if a worldwide pandemic comes along and you're the type of person that sits back and thinks, man, this is it. This is my opportunity to fuck some people over. This is my chance to get a couple $100. Man, you really have to take a good hard look in the mirror and ask yourself, what am I contributing to the planet? Not a pleasant scenario. So let's get into the US. Let's take a quick look at the states themselves. Whoa. Okay, so New York, 20,875 cases. All I can say is holy shit. And new cases, 5,000. So the case amount has increased by 33% from just yesterday, leading the country in deaths now. 43 new deaths. So I mean, again, that's about 25% increase from the day before, right? Or more. The other states trail off, but you know what? Let's stop the share altogether. Let's find out what the hell. So Angie, are the people in New York? I mean, do you lick doorknobs there?
No.
Are there orgies going on in the subway? Like, I mean, what the hell, man? Like, you have 10 times as many infections as any other state in the country.
Yes, and actually in New York City alone, this morning or today, the tally was 12,339 with 99 deaths.
Right, and so it's going up just by that much.
12,000 of that is here.
Wait, is there a lot of testing going on? Is that why these numbers are jumping so much? Because they're testing so many people?
Yes, the reason why the numbers are jumping is because there finally are some tests.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that are asymptomatic that are also figuring that they might want to get tests. I mean, that would only be people in power right now, because the average person can't get their hands on a test unless they have extreme issues. But yeah, we're starting to see that things are starting to spiral a little bit out of control. My roommate is always on the news and watching the latest of everything. And the latest
Well,
thing.
you know what? Let's back up and tell me how this started. Like, when did, I mean, probably like everybody, you've known about this since what, like January? You've seen it. It's crossed your path, kind of.
Yeah, I noticed it as soon as the cruise ship got infected. I mean, as soon as that was news, it was news that this was huge.
Yeah. Okay. So the cruise ship, that was like what, February, I think.
Yeah, February.
And when did it start to creep into New York as a problem? Like, when did your life start to change?
My life started changing probably, I'd say 3 weeks ago, because I am working in the service industry. We have to be extremely diligent in keeping ourselves safe and keeping the customers safe. So right away, all of the people who are working were extremely paranoid about washing our hands constantly, using hand sanitizer constantly. We had multiple stations for hand sanitizer and multiple stations for hand washing. And then also like just starting to wear your hair back, because when your hair's not back, you're touching your face way more and stuff like that.
And this was like 3 weeks ago?
This is about 3 weeks ago, yeah, in the restaurant. I mean...
And where were you getting warnings from?
Oh, I mean, our employer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because like when Donald Trump first came out, he tried saying it was a hoax.
We don't listen to that. And you know I don't listen to him unless I want to laugh.
So if he comes on and says this is all a hoax, that's when you guys go, holy shit, we're fucked.
Yeah. Yes. And actually, like 3 weeks ago, I started riding my bike to work too, because immediately, as soon as I found out, I mean, the first thing I had was like, oh my God, I work in a restaurant and they take the subway every day. Like, fuck me, basically. So yeah, I got on my bike immediately.
Yeah, I mean, just doing that, just taking the subway and working in a restaurant, you're probably going to have like non-direct contact with 300 or 400 people, right?
Yes.
Just by touching the same things and being in the same environment, really.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's pretty nasty. And then, so when was there a reduction in practices there? Like when did they start closing stuff and limiting hours and things like that, and taking like sort of statewide precautions?
So last Monday was the first day that we were not allowed to go to work, and that it was takeout only. So it's literally only been a week of people not being able to sit in a restaurant. And I would say before that, the weekend before that, we had one slow day. The day before was almost normal. So really, New Yorkers have only been taking it seriously for about a week. And the social distancing, I swear to God, I think it only really amped up a bit yesterday and today for sure. Because I've been out every day except for today, just getting on my bike, exercising my lungs, cycling, going out just to see what it's like to shop or to go to the pharmacy. And now, yesterday was the first day that like places like Walgreens implemented that only 2 people at a time could go in. And people were social distancing, maybe not 6 feet, but maybe 4 feet outside. Trader Joe's also taking a lot of precautions, but nobody was social distancing in the line. Like everybody was crammed.
Well, you know what? Hang on. I'm just going to get a drink and then I'm going to tell you about social distancing.
Okay.
Okay. So I was at a store the other day, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, the rule, I'm sure you've got the same rule as everybody else. You're supposed to stand 6 feet behind somebody, right?
Yeah.
So I was in the lineup and I was standing 6 feet behind the person in front of me. And some old boomer comes and he sort of walks in front of me. And I go, oh, hey, I'm social distancing. And he's like, huh, you what? Doing what? And I'm like, social distancing. And he looks at me and looks around and I'm like, we're spreading out so that we don't transmit the disease. And he goes, is this line open? And I go, yes. And he goes, "Are you in line?" And I go, "Yes." And he goes, and then he just looks at me again and then walked away. And I'm like, "Oh, fuck." And then literally not a minute later, the same thing happened again. Another person just went in front of me in the line. I'm like, "Holy fuck. Maybe I'd rather have the virus than practice social distancing with these guys." But anyway.
Yeah, well, when I was in line yesterday for the pharmacy, this lady was like right up my ass on the phone. She'd just gone for a run. She was like speaking loudly and freely, and she was like literally 1 foot behind me, and I just kept moving away without losing my spot in line. Trying
So
not.
what sort of things are so I've heard that New York is essentially under a curfew now. Is that true, or is that?
Well, yeah, we're shelter in place basically. So as of 8 p.m. last night, we're only allowed to go out if we have essential needs. It's not like Italy, from what I understand. I have a friend that lives in Bologna, and if they're outside, they get stopped by the police. And the police question them why they're outside, and it's okay if they have something really important to do. But here, people are still allowed to go out, get takeout. In terms of time curfew at night, I haven't heard about that, but
Which stores are still open?
yes.
Grocery stores, right?
Yeah, grocery stores, pharmacies, delis. There's still a lot open. Yeah, delis. The corner deli's open. Anything that has food or supplies that you might need. I didn't go out today and see if the restaurants are still open, but they are open for takeout. They're only allowing a certain amount of customers in the store at once, but I'm not even feeling comfortable doing that at the moment. Like going.
What's closed then? Like your restaurant's closed, isn't it?
The restaurants are closed for eat-in.
Dine-in, right?
Dine-in. Schools are closed.
Hairdressers,
government
hair
agencies
salons,
are closed to the public.
hair salons, right?
Yes, all that stuff. Yeah.
Massage parlors.
Yeah. Oh my God, I wanted a massage so badly the last 2 days, and it's just like, I can't have anyone touch me right now.
Yeah, well, I will give you some positive information. Earlier today, I was going over the statistics on likelihood of dying, and a woman, you're what, 51? A woman under 60, your odds of living are really, really good.
And I wonder about if this typo blood thing, if typos are really, in fact, slightly resistant to it. I mean, that would be another plus for me.
Hey, me too. I'm typo. Oh, negative.
Hey, you're AB.
The most valuable blood there is.
Wait,
so it sounds like you're in the exact same condition as all of us over here. Like we have pretty much the same kind of thing. I mean, stores have shut their hours to, essential stores they close at 8 o'clock now. Mm-hmm. Restaurants are only takeout now.
Mm-hmm. Same thing.
Places like Home Depot are still open.
Same thing. But I mean, there is a problem. This is a very young city, and it's a city where a lot of young people aren't taking it seriously enough. And I think that maybe only in the last couple of days have young people, and I'm talking about people maybe 35 and under, they're finally starting to take it seriously. But
well, has anyone died that's, say, under the age of 40?
Yeah, there have. Yeah, I believe somebody did die under the age of 40. I can't remember where, when. I can't give you the facts on that. A healthy person or a person? I think it was a 32-year-old.
With pre-existing conditions, or was it a healthy?
No pre-existing conditions.
That's one of the things I'm watching for. If we see frontline people, like people working in grocery stores or healthcare workers that are younger and otherwise healthy, if we see the disease start to either mutate and become more virulent among those populations, or if there's a longer incubation period or something like that, and we start to see those people become sick, then I think we got a real problem on our hands.
Well, according to my roommate Derek, he has seen that. I haven't seen the videos. I just asked him today before I came on with you if he had anything to say, and he started telling me about these videos, which I'm going to watch once I get off. But they're showing the nurses dealing with people who are on ventilators, and they're explaining how if you this virus, it just sort of creates kind of like a foam in your lungs, and it just keeps growing and growing. And the ventilators are cranked up to as high as possible, and they're still not creating enough space in the lungs until you eventually just suffocate and foam at the mouth.
Yeah, I don't think they can really save anybody that's in that condition, to be honest. I mean, I think those ventilators or respirators, they may work with younger people, like people maybe under 60. Um, but I think those people that are that far gone, it really doesn't work with them anyways.
Yeah, but some of these people who are on ventilators don't have pre-existing conditions, and they are younger, so nobody's safe, I don't think.
Hmm. Yeah, well, like I say, I mean, that's going to be one of the things I'm really watching for. So are you happy with the measures that have been taken in New York? Like, do you feel like progress is being made?
I do. I don't think that we're overreacting at all. I think that maybe the measures should be even amped up slightly more if over the next few days the cases keep rising a lot, and the young people aren't taking it
What,
seriously
what what
enough.
would be the next measures that you would amp up?
Well, I guess the next measure would be delivery only. You can't go in and pick up your food.
Yeah. What about is there any prohibition of people in groups of larger than five?
Yeah, I believe it's groups larger than 9. You can't be in a group larger than 9, and I still think that that's a lot too. So um, we're not supposed to be going out and visiting friends, even if we keep our distance. Shouldn't really be visiting other people's homes. You don't know what's on their surfaces. You may be keeping your distance, but you could be touching a surface. There's a lot of things that you're supposed to do that people just aren't doing.
Hmm.
I don't
Well,
know
I'm
how
pretty
you can
lucky.
enforce that unless you put an actual curfew in place, like you mentioned, where you're only allowed to go out between certain hours.
Yeah, well, I would assume that that's coming. I think probably that's coming, and then there's probably going to be designated shopping hours and or shopping by zip code, postal code, something like that, right?
Yeah, I believe we have the designated shopping hours for the elderly right now as well in some stores
Yeah.
for groceries.
It's funny how they do it early in the morning, not late at night.
Well, we all know.
Those oldsters, they don't like to be up at nighttime, do they?
Nope.
So, in your mind, has anything been communicated to you that would indicate to you when things are getting better? Like all these things are in place, but when are these things not going to be in place? When are they going to say, okay, uh, the problem has been successfully dealt with? Like we're never going to see probably 0 cases of this now. But the only thing I've heard is
yeah.
flattening the curve. Well, what the fuck does flattening the curve mean? A curve is never flat. If it is, it isn't a curve, right?
Yeah.
We know it means slowing things down, but I mean specifics, right?
Well, things are really just amping up here. So there's no definitive end in sight. I can say people are saying that we might have to stay like this for 18 months.
18 months?
Yep.
Wow.
I think in a large metropolis like this, I think you do have to take more extreme measures.
Well, you know what? If that's the case, you're going to have the National Guard in there then. Because you can't.
Possibly. I mean, that would be the most extreme case for sure, but I guess we'll see how this pans out over the next 2 weeks, next 14 days, as the younger people who are most likely asymptomatic are taking it super seriously. And
but again, though, nobody has told us what we should be looking for in 14 days, right? I guess a slowdown of infections. I mean, but those kind of vary from day to day. And how much does it need to slow down, right?
Right. And I think from what I understand, it is mutating a little bit. I don't know if I'm incorrect there, but.
Yeah. And as we see more tests, we're only going to see more infections anyway. So, I mean, I wouldn't even know how to get tested here. Like I wouldn't even know where to go or any of that, right?
And also, it's like the height of flu season right now with the weather berserk and all over the place and up and down and allergies out. And like every day I'm paranoid anyways, because I'm like, oh, I can't breathe today. Oh, it's because this seasonal allergies just started yesterday.
Oh, yikes.
Or the weather jumps from 73 degrees Fahrenheit down to 45 or 40 degrees Fahrenheit. And sorry, I've forgotten my Canadian Celsius.
Yeah, or or you sneeze and then everyone looks at you like you're ready for the graveyard, right?
Right.
You got
Yeah.
the virus.
Yeah, I'm always sneezing too. I'm like snotty.
Yeah, you have to stop between sneezes and say, "Don't worry, not a virus, just an allergy."
Yeah.
Huh. So, what do you think is going to happen within the next 4 or 5 days?
Um, well, I think in the next 4 or 5 days, the cases are going to continue to increase. They have slowed down, and hopefully, in the next 5 days, people taking this more seriously, getting more tests. I think that it will start to plateau. Hopefully,
Is the government offering you guys anything in the way of relief? Like, is
yes.
rent still due, or like?
I mean, there's still, I believe the stimulus package got rejected last night, but hopefully it's accepted soon. I'm currently receiving unemployment.
Wow, so you got it quick then.
Yeah, so I somehow got in the first 2 days, but there are people that have been trying to get on the site for 5 days and they still can't get on. It's so overloaded. They're people with last names, certain last names do Monday, people with certain last names do Tuesday, stuff like that. So today was my day to do my weekly benefits, and tomorrow will be people with their E as their last name could do their weekly benefits and stuff like that. The restaurant that I work for has been very generous. They're covering our metro passes, our subway, which we can't take anyways, for the next month. And they're covering our healthcare. I have healthcare through my company, and they're covering that till April 30th until further notice. So people are kind of going bit by bit, but I do feel as a service industry employee, I actually do feel taken care of, and now I could just concentrate on being healthy for a minute and try to make money somehow else.
Well, you know what? That's good. I mean, we've had a lot of promises here, but it's from what I gather, there's a lot of frustration trying to actually enact those things. And my idea, I thought it would be, instead of having people apply for EI, I thought it would be better just to do a temporary measure through the employers, and just, if the employers deal with EI, and then, there's just an agreement that they keep people employed for, 4 weeks or up to 60 days or something before, either going back to work or going to EI, something like that. It would be much easier to administer, right?
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
I guess we'll see.
But yeah, things, I mean, the government's been taking care of us. I think, honestly, I really do think that they probably should have closed the schools a little bit earlier. That's just my opinion. But yes, there's the issue of, there's over 113,000 homeless children going to school in this city alone. Never mind living under the poverty level. Apparently over 60% of the people that go to school here, elementary school, high school, actually live under the poverty level. So there's a lot of people that rely on breakfast, lunch, and dinner at school because they can't get it at home. So I think that's why it took so long to shut the schools down here. But as of today, they started homeschooling. And I've seen a lot of funny videos already about people aging 50 years overnight. and also starting today, parents and kids can go pick up breakfast, lunch, and dinner, 3 square meals a day, if they can't afford it.
Nice. All right. Well, listen, do you have any words of advice or parting words for your viewers in BC?
Oh, well, I mean, I think you guys are lucky you don't live in such a sardine city like New York City. Just keep that social distancing going on. Don't have sex with randoms.
Yeah, if you're going to have sex alone by yourself, okay?
Yes.
Remember, take the advice of Global News.
Yeah, exactly.
That would have been great for me. I was always exactly what I was looking for. I think I would have swept myself off my feet. All right. Funny. Okay, we will end it there. I'm going to close out as well. Angie is going to say goodbye from New York.
Bye from New York.
And remember, if we're with you, can't nobody be against you. We're all going to get through this. We got to stick together, okay?